Good morning, friends. Dan Larson here. I'll be your host for this Quiet Echo episode, the day after the manger. I'm sitting on the porch this morning, watching the sun come up over Cedar Valley. Rebecca's inside making breakfast. The house is quieter than it was yesterday. The wrapping paper's in the trash. The dishes are done. The tree is still up, but it looks different now somehow. This is December 26th, the day after Christmas. The day we don't sing about. I read a story this morning that I can't stop thinking about. While most of us were unwrapping gifts yesterday, volunteers at St. Sabina Catholic Church in Chicago were loading vans with 600 hot meals. They delivered them to shelters, veterans' homes, even the local police department all across the city. Father Michael Piefliger started this tradition years ago. He found that a lot of shelters only served sandwiches on Christmas Day because they let their regular staff go home to be with their families. And Father Piefliger said, "No, I want to make sure they have good meals. So how do we make this work?" The answer was simple. Show up, find volunteers, feed people. Do the work that faith requires when nobody's watching. One of the volunteers, a woman named Hiola Alston, said something that hit me hard. She said, "I know what it's like to not have anything, to be in a shelter. It makes it better for them to feel like somebody actually cares. Somebody actually cares." That's the whole sermon right there. I've been a church leader for a long time now, and one thing I've learned is that Christmas Day is easy. The chapel fills up. The music swells. The candles glow. Everyone feels the wonder of the story, God entering the world as a helpless child, hope arriving in the humblest of circumstances. For one day we all remember who we're supposed to be. But faith isn't lived on Christmas Day. It's lived on December 26th and January 4th and the Tuesday in March when nothing feels holy at all. Think about what happened after that first Christmas. The shepherds went back to their sheep. Mary and Joseph woke up the next morning in the same borrowed stable, with the same uncertain future, caring for a newborn in a world that hadn't made room for them. The angels didn't sing again. The star didn't shine any brighter. The ordinary returned, and yet everything had changed. That's what Father Piefliger and those volunteers in Chicago understand. The incarnation wasn't just a single night of glory. It was God choosing to dwell in the ordinary, to be present in the daily, unglamorous work of loving people who need it. The miracle didn't end when the shepherds left. It continued in every quiet, unwitnessed act of service that followed. I look out at Cedar Valley this morning, and I know the divisions that troubled us before Christmas haven't disappeared. The neighbor you've been avoiding is still next door. The family member you argued with is still family. The grieving are still grieving. The lonely are still lonely. Christmas doesn't erase any of that, but it changes how we see it. If God entered the world in weakness and vulnerability, then weakness and vulnerability are holy ground. If heaven touched earth in a place of rejection, no room at the inn, then the rejected and the overlooked are exactly where we should be looking. If the Savior came not for the righteous but for sinners, then none of us gets to stand apart and judge. The day after Christmas is when we find out if we meant what we sang. When we discover whether peace on earth, goodwill toward men was just a sentiment, or a commitment. Rebecca just came out with some hot chocolate. She didn't say anything, just handed it to me and sat down in the other chair. We do this sometimes. Watch the town wake up together. It's nothing fancy, just presence. Just being there. That's what those volunteers in Chicago were doing yesterday. Being there, showing up, making sure somebody who had nothing knew that somebody cared. So here we are, Cedar Valley. December 26th. The stable is behind us. The journey is just beginning. What will we carry forward? Thanks for listening. I'm Dan Larson, and this is Quiet Echo.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time, keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open.